Now that we have our cylinder, kind of the height that I want, I'm gonna talk about finishing a cylinder, right? What we do with maybe this extra clay that's on the bottom that's almost ramping out, what we might do to help smooth this side out completely, and then eventually setting it up for cutting this off the wheel. The first step is I'm gonna take that wood tool, right, and I'm gonna use that angle part here, and I'm gonna set that vertically just next to my cylinder. Okay? I'm gonna hold this wood tool almost like I would something to write with. I'm then gonna take, and I'm doing this with my right hand, and then I'm gonna take my left hand and come underneath and help support it here. Okay? So I have two hands kind of holding this tool here. Once we actually start to use this and hit clay, this tool might actually end up dragging and want to pull away from you. And if you're using two hands, you can keep it steady in place. And if you're only using one hand, it might go kind of all over the place, which is not what we want. Okay? So I'm holding it with two hands. I'm getting kind of directly over top of the clay, and I'm trying to keep this angle completely vertical, matching the top part of my cylinder. Now, as I move this tool down, you'll see that there's a point where this edge, this point of this tool will dig into the clay. That's where that cylinder, that clay is starting to ramp out. Okay? Once I do that, I'm gonna create a little notch, and then I'm gonna slowly work and push this tool down until the wheel head. Okay, it looks a little something like this. I'm doing this at about a wheel speed 3, right? You don't need to do and go very fast with this. I'm holding that angle against the cylinder. I'm slowly moving down. You can start to see, right, that little ledge that forms as the tip of this wood tool starts to dig into the clay. Once I have that ledge, I'm using that for reference. I'm going to slowly start to push down, and I can't emphasize slowly enough, keeping my tool vertical until the tip of this wood tool hits the wheel head. You can almost even hear it hit the wheel head. Once I stop there, you can see all this extra clay that was from that part that ramped out. I'm actually going to just take this tool and help kind of scrape off this extra clay that we just kind of took off. The idea is that you want kind of not a lot of clay here, right? You want to use this clay in the building of your walls, but obviously some of this clay is going to be able to ramp out at the bottom of your cylinder that you might just not be able to get and use in the building of your walls. Once we've used that wood tool, I'm going to come and take this blue rib, and I'm going to hold it vertically with this straight edge against the side. And I'm going to gently have that same hand position as I'm throwing. And I'm going to gently push in from the inside of that cylinder so that the clay goes against this nice smooth edge here. I'm going to start with my fingers at the bottom, and I'm going to slowly work up the side of my cylinder, smoothing out the edge. You can see that my clay is actually touching the blue rib. It's smoothing it out. I might do it once and maybe twice, just to really get a nice smooth outside to my cylinder. The last step for finishing a cylinder is I'm going to come back to this wood tool, that angle that I had against the side of the clay. I'm going to put flat against the wheel head, and I'm going to create what I call just a little notch. So I'm sitting in here, keeping it against the wheel head. I'm going to put just a little notch. I'm going to move it just in a little bit to help eventually us cut this off the wheel. Right here, we have a finished cylinder that's kind of trimmed off and smoothed out.